Okay, everybody, welcome. Happy Monday. It is a beautiful day out, and I am so excited to be sharing another Facebook Live. And we have a lot of new of you on our page. So I just want to take a minute, introduce myself. And if you're watching here, I'd like to please encourage you to share where you're watching from. You know, our community is so great, where we have people all over the world that is coming together to share and be together as a community through a common good, which are advocating for our kids who learn differently. Okay, so for those of you who don't know who I am, my name is Jake Sussman. I'm a dyslexia ADHD influencer. I run a mentoring firm for kids and young adults with learning attention challenges to help them overcome different obstacles through embracing their strengths, work with kids all over the world. And I also bring on very cool influencers and leaders in the space of education, learning differences, and sharing very cool stories. But today, I am going to share something with you. Today, we're going to be talking about the power of relatability. Okay, and why are we going to talk about the power of relatability is because, well, our kids are craving to be connected with. You know, I come from the perspective of our kids. I'm not a doctor, I'm not a teacher or a parent. I'm coming from the perspective of our kids because I felt their pain. I've been through the struggles in school of being misunderstood. So I understand, and so many other young adults and professionals out there that also struggled in school, we feel for your kids because we've been there. Okay, so what we're going to do is I'm going to share with you to start a poem that I wrote called The Forgotten Child. And this is really what launched this whole movement. And to really kick us off, we're going to just share this and then we'll talk about it after. So let's begin. And please also, if you have questions, feel free to share below and I'll be watching this feed to answer any questions that you have. Okay, let's do this. I kindly ask you to shut your eyes so you can fully understand the story that has left me so traumatized. Imagine yourselves as the child that always smiled. You were wild and beguiled until the day you were profiled. This is the story of the forgotten child. Now, what I am about to tell you will truly make your stomach churn, they said. I have major concern, Mr. and Mrs., but your child simply can't learn. The child was labeled disabled. He was told face to face that he should stop his chase to a higher educational place because he couldn't read any book in the bookcase. This is an absolute disgrace. Those words should never come out of anyone with a knowledge base. From that point on, he was taken out of the classroom all day long, from homeroom to 3 hours past eating in the lunchroom. He became paranoid, full of anxiety and scared because he was told he was impaired. It felt like nobody cared. He was misunderstood as a result of educators thinking he was no good. He just needed someone to think that he could. You see, negative labels are destructive, counterproductive, and obstructive. Now, I'd like to ask you to please open your eyes. To some surprise, that forgotten child is standing before all of you guys. He defied the lies of this public educational enterprise. You see, what they didn't know was that this forgotten child had an epic thirst for knowledge. He refused to acknowledge, "You will never go to college." He took those words and turned them from frustration into motivation. He was lacking that academic foundation, so his parents pulled him out of this cultivation they called public education. Now, let me bring something to rouse. Just imagine your academic journey like the construction of a house. Without the proper support, that house will fall short. He was finally put in a place where his mind was no longer a disgrace. It was a place that built his academic base as strong as an iron case. They saw him for everything he got. This isn't no school of thought. It is something that the public educational system simply did not. And it was the first time Had the forgotten child actually smiled since the day he was profiled? Now, let me mention one of the most notable individuals in all of mankind with a mind that was also defined like mine. Let's take someone like Albert Einstein, a man of credibility that had a learning disability. He was lacking much valuability despite educators' much acridity, but that didn't stop Al's life journey to discovering the theory of relativity. So take a minute. While I spit some poetry, what's the difference between you and every person the eye can see? Truth is, there's nothing. Because each and every one of us have our own unique ability. Einstein said it perfectly, that everybody is a genius. But if we judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will live its whole life thinking that it is stupid. Don't you see? A wise man once told me that the power comes from the young people knowing that they can change the world. Don't ever give up your shot. Your minds are all you've got. It's time we change this public educational melting pot, turning your minds into a robot. You get my gist? In this world craving to coexist, it's time that we work with the kids that are missed, with those who fit the mainstream schools perfectly, and then those who learn differently. Together, I insist. Thank you. You see, I wrote that at a time of my life where I was confident, where I felt good. I was a junior in college, speaking in front of my university at a poetry slam. But I wasn't supposed to be there, guys. You see, I was told that I would never go to college when I was in 6th grade. And here we are sharing. Maybe there's some of you watching this where your kids, the path just seems foggy. What's going to happen down the road? Is even high school going to be in the question? Is my kid going to go to college? Let me tell you, anything's possible. And the path isn't going to be easy. So, before reading any further, I first would love for you to share your thoughts when you heard The Forgotten Child. What came to your head? What image did you see? Because everyone has a different perspective of the forgotten child. Because all of us, whether we have a learning difference, whether we are with our sexuality, with our gender, with just who we are, there may be a forgotten child in all of us. It's who we really are. So before I share any further, I would like you to please just imagine your child's shoes. Let's put ourselves in their shoes. Now, doing this may require you to mentally put aside your to-dos, outstanding tasks, emails, responsibilities. I know it's Monday, we're jumping back into things, but let's just take a minute. Everything else that comes with parenting as an LD child, let's just put that all aside. And once we're fully engaged, we can now begin to explore their world. This is going to be one of the tricks. What do you see? Perhaps you see a world with untainted joy, wonder, and excitement, or maybe you experience endless curiosity and bewilderment. Letting your mind run wild, eagerly learning the world each day comes with a new adventure. Now, the world of joy, curiosity, imagination that you just immerse yourself in is labeled. It is made to believe that it is no good, different, not normal. The negative labels are not only destructive, but are also counterproductive to our children's success. You see, everyone, as an LD mind myself, now LD, I would love to use the word neurodiverse because all human beings learn differently. However, as an LD mind, we'll just keep going with it. I know firsthand the challenges of overcoming these labels. Throughout the younger years of my life, my parents were constantly turning to doctors, therapists, tutors, and specialists. No one could reach me. No one. Can you guys relate to that? Well, because I was so misunderstood, my impulses turned erratic. And I was labeled a behavior problem. Sound familiar? I mean, my school couldn't even get over the fact that I was a behavior problem. And as I look back on my grade school years, I envision what my life may have looked like had I had access to someone who truly understood my mind and my potential. And one thing was missing, and that was, well, a mentor. Someone who was also misunderstood. Another behavioral problem. Someone who has been through the same struggles, felt the same isolation, judgment, and confusion, and who was eager to support me through my challenging process with no other agenda other than the fact that we can bond through similar emotion and experience. I wish I had someone who fought against the labels and won, if only. Now, guys, this conversation isn't just about I wish we could have. This is going to be a very productive conversation, okay? That's what we have to be. We have to be productive. We have to talk about solutions because this is a world filled with problems. We're going to be solution oriented today. Let's start our Monday off right, a whole new note, okay? So let's flash forward to today. Let's keep talking about mentorship for a minute. Mentorship has become a highly reliable alternative for social and emotional growth and evolution of oneself. You see, we're focused in school's so focused on IQ, but what about the social emotional side? As we're learning in quarantine, this is happening more so than ever before. Our kids need to be understanding how they feel and why. And just because they can't read because of their dyslexia doesn't mean they actually can't read. It just means it's very challenging, okay? Now, for those of you that may not know, I founded Superpower Consulting, which is a mentoring firm designed to help those young adults and kids who are struggling with the way they learn their confidence, and we're going to help them build confidence. But I found this on one simple belief, that unlike professionals, mentors guide and advise instead of fix and prescribe. Now, we are very good relationships with therapists, psychologists, but there's something that a mentor can provide that very few can. And that's bonding through shared experience, relatability. You see, statistics show that 81% of those who meet regularly with a mentor are more likely to participate in extracurriculars, 52% less likely to skip a day of school, and 55% more likely to get into college. In other words, mentorship is designed to empower and equip mentees with the skills they need to confidently succeed in any environment. For LD kids, young adults, being able to excel in a traditional learning environment is the name of the game. Now, what is traditional now? Guys, there is no such thing as traditional anymore. Everything is changing. We don't even know what's going to happen in the fall. Are kids going to be learning from home? When they go to school, maybe they'll be there for 2 months, then they'll be pulled out of school because there's too much risk. Guys, consistency is so critical. So this is one of the most disruptive, however, interesting times in our kids' journeys. And I encourage you as parents to just watch what happens because consistency is very important. Consistency in environment is very important for our kids. I mean, the amount of kids that I've been working with that are saying that they actually miss school. They miss school for the first time because they've realized that it's much more than just learning. It's actually socialization. It's being with their friends, okay? So our philosophy is built on 3 pillars: self-reflection, communication, and self-advocacy. And this is what I want to share with you. Because if we can implement these pillars into our homes, it can open up a world of possibilities for connecting with our kids. And believe me, I understand this because I was one of them. Each one builds on the next. We believe that when children are given the space to safely communicate and express their emotions, explore their habits and behaviors, and feel confident about their hobbies, confidence undoubtedly skyrockets. And it's that simple. We just need our kids to be able to feel confident in the things that they love and to understand why. And it all lies in the strengths. This success gives them, well, the strength and the courage to tackle more challenging tasks. And we're seeing this every single day. Now, more than ever, kids with minds like mine are craving support and connection with someone who understands them. And you, as parents, have a part to play. You actually can connect with them in ways like never before. And we're going to dive into 5 ways in a minute, especially during times like this with such uncertainty. You see, guys, while we each may have our own unique story, we can all agree that our children have struggled to stay engaged and connected with online learning, having felt isolated from their friends, and worst of all, having been out of consistent, reliable routine, right? Can we agree? If you guys agree, please share. Let me know below. But when given the space of relatability, comfortability, and connection, our kids in our program share how they feel and what they love. And once heard, validated, and understood, kids have experienced a whole new sense of awareness, engagement, and confidence in their abilities to manage emotions and pursue more challenging tasks like schoolwork, chores, relationships, communication, and self-awareness. Now imagine that just by connecting, relating to our kids, just by doing that, our kids are opening up in ways like never before. Now I'm going to share 5 tips on how we can better relate with our kids. Now, let's start this off. You ready? Number 1, get vulnerable. If you've gone through challenges in your life, share them with your kids. Share an emotional experience of challenge. This is going to validate our kids, their whole experience, and having them feel supported. Because frankly, if our kids are the only ones in the house struggling and have no idea that our parents have struggled too, there's no way that we could relate. So relating and bonding through shared emotional pain can bring us closer in connection. Number 2, be willing to enter their world with an open mind and encouragement. I can't tell you the amount of times that I've spoken to parents when it comes to their kids playing video games, and they say, well, I can't relate to my kids because they play these video games and I've tried to do it, but I just don't get it. I don't like it. Well, let me have a little reality check for you guys. It's not about the game. There's a reason why our kids are playing these unique video games. So instead of it being for entertainment, for us as parents, why don't we use this as a vessel to get into our kids' worlds? Let's say, have them teach you how to play. Pretend you don't know how. Pretend that you're actually interested, because what we're doing is we're teaching our kids how to communicate, how to share, and how to teach something that they're interested in, and it'll just give you a little glimpse into their world. Once we do that, I'm telling you, it's the coolest thing, because now they're like, wow. First, they may seem a little bit skeptical, like, why are you trying to play my video games? That's weird for parents to do that. But then if you're persistent with it, they're going to want to open up. And that's what we're seeing too. This is going to help enter their world. Entering their world is critical. Number 3, very, very important. Pay close attention to their passions, their interests, and natural abilities. This will help show insight to activities needed to feel expressed and safe. At our mentoring company, Superpower Consulting, we call these outlets, okay? These are all activities that help us express ourselves so that we can feel in control of any given moment. And we all have them, right? Whether it's a sport, music, art, a hobby, it could be even socialization, it could be watching TV, whatever it is. But then those are called very productive and healthy outlets, but there's also destructive outlets too, okay? Like drinking and escapism, Certain outlets can be used, could be healthy, but also can be used as escapism for escaping what's actually going on. That's something that is definitely workable, but being able to see why we gravitate towards these unique activities are very important. I'll give you an example. One of our workshops that we do with our kids is a superhero workshop. And we create our own dyslexic superhero for the kids to be able to use and hang on the wall so that when they feel challenged or they're struggling, they'll be able to look at this dyslexic superhero and say, wow, I can actually do it because this hero is going to help me get there. So here's what's really cool. We had a client who he was about 11 years old, and he was super interested in how things work and why they work, and machines. And he wanted to grow up and build bridges one day. So when I asked him what his favorite superhero was, I wasn't surprised by his answer because he said Iron Man. Now, how could Iron Man and understanding his interest in understanding how things work relate? Well, Iron Man's a machine. Makes sense. Iron Man's a machine, and if he's interested in how things work, well, there we go. So now we created our own superhero combining Iron Man, my favorite superhero, and now it all comes together. So this is why it's super important to be able to identify what our kids are interested in because it all connects. Number 4, don't be afraid to ask the why. In order to get to the root of how our kids are truly feeling, we need to be willing to dig deeper and ask questions. Use the I don't know response as a launch pad for curiosity. Watch this. So how many times have you asked your kids, how was your day, sweetie? And their response was, good. It was okay. I mean, I hear it all the time. But underneath the it was good or it was okay is a whole day's worth of challenges or excitement or different interactions. We hear the surface. So if we can understand the why, let's dig a little deeper. This is called question probing. Okay, let's ask a follow-up question to their response. It could be about anything. What made it so good? Why was it just I don't know? Or if it's about an interest, why do you like this activity? Do you like, if it's soccer, are you a goalie or do you like to play midfield? And let's try to understand why, because again, there's a reason why we gravitate to the things that we do. And number 5, keep your kids on a schedule. Consistency is one of the most important tools to support the momentum for kids with learning and attention challenges. It's true. I used to fall apart during the summer. Everyone used to look forward to the summers. I used to fear it. It was a worst nightmare for me because frankly, I had no structure. Weekends, same thing, no structure. Holidays, same thing, no structure. I would fall apart. Okay, so having a consistent schedule is important, especially now with this uncertainty of what's school gonna be like in the fall? The one thing we can control is let's keep a structure that is similar to that of school, when we would wake up normally, okay? What time we normally would go to bed. With that being the case, if school were to happen, then we're at least on the same sleep schedule and daily routine than if it was just on a weekend. We have to separate the both. Okay, we have to hold our kids accountable. And something that I like to always talk about here is a lot of times our kids like to say, I'm sorry. Even adults, we like to say, I'm sorry a lot, okay? But instead of saying, I'm sorry, how about we teach the impact? Let's teach the impact of our actions. You know, the impact that you showing up late caused me was X, Y, and Z. The impact of you playing video games while we were playing about to set up for dinner, or you playing video games before bed, which caused another fight, caused us to feel this. It impacted me. It impacted your sibling, X, Y, and Z. Make sense? And you know what? That's what it is. And we're always starting to learn. We're always having to explore. And guys, this is what it's all about, okay? I am so happy that you've joined me on this spontaneous workshop. And please don't be afraid to ask questions, because I'll bet if you have a question, someone else who's watching this somewhere else in the world has the same question. Okay, so please don't be afraid to share. I'm here for you. I'm here with you. I do just want to share a few more additional resources that could be very helpful. Our company is partnered with Nessie Learning, which is one of the largest online education platforms in the world for reading and literacy. Please make sure you reach out to them, and they are just a great organization. A few books I recommend is Permission to Feel by Dr. Mark Brackett, who is the founder of the Yale Center for Emotional Intelligence. Okay, they have done some very interesting studies, and he just wrote a book on the current state of the educational system and our kids and how we can teach our kids to be more emotionally intelligent. Another great book is How to Win Friends and Influence People. It's a classic book by Dale Carnegie. Another great book is The Power of Habit and Crucial Conversations. And if you are curious on our mentoring program, it's called the Discover Your Superpowers Mentorship Program by Superpower Consulting. You can just feel free to reach out to me directly or visit our website at www.superpowerconsulting.com. And again, I'm going to hang out for a little bit to answer some more of your questions. Thank you for joining me. Until next time, we have some very exciting guests coming on the next few weeks, so please stay tuned. And for those of you new to our community, welcome. Welcome. All right, everyone, have a great Monday. Have a great rest of your week, and I'll see you soon.